It's Tarke here. Before we get into this video, I just want to quickly remind you that I am both simultaneously a GGG shill and also a whiny bastard who only ever complains and hates on PoE because he hates this game. I've made a brief TLDR of the bad and good things which can come from the Tencent owning the majority shares in Grinding Gear Games. I didn't really want to make this video. People keep asking me, so I'm mostly doing this when people say, what's your opinion? I can just link to this video and be done with it. Now, before we get into the cons and pros, I've just got 3 core points I want to mention. So, I think it will probably be fine. It will probably be fine, and I think people are mostly freaking out over nothing because people don't like change. 2, on the whole discussion of, but I'll never buy MTX or supporter packs, why would I ever do that? Real talk, not everyone, but most people buy MTX, loot boxes, supporter packs because they want to look cool. This whole notion that, Tarke, I never buy MTX to look cool, I do it just to support Chris. Like, come on. Some of you, sure. As someone who's supported this game for a really long time, sure, but you do actually want to look cool. Also, this idea that GGG was a small indie dev. Before this thing went through, they had over 100 employees and had Microsoft funding for years. So, yeah, this idea that, this whole thing has just been Chris and Jonathan coding in a basement for the last 50 years, and they've never expanded from that. They're a proper big company now, real talk. They've been independent, but they've been a proper company for quite a long time now. Okay, so let's go into the cons. So these are some kind of realistic things. So I think the one thing that people can realistically be kind of worried about is a trend towards more Eastern style MTX, armor sets, NPCs, locations. We saw this quite a lot with Act 5 onwards. Sin himself is very edge anime looking man, and the Sin and Innocence loot boxes, etc. There's been quite a big push towards more Eastern style characters. Now, a lot of people really like that. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the super edgy stuff. I preferred the more rooted, down-to-earth PoE. So for me, that's a con. But as long as it's just little things and MTX, I don't really care that much. But yeah, that's something which I can kind of see, yeah, this more weeby style. That's something I could maybe see a genuine concern for. Now, another thing, this is both a pro and a con. This has been in the works for a really long time. This isn't something that Chris just decided to do overnight. This has probably been in development ever since the first idea of having a China port even existed. This kind of thing we've been talking. Tencent is in charge of the China version of PoE. So if you hate the current direction of Path of Exile, then expect Path of Exile to keep going in the current direction. So fair enough. So if you hate modern day PoE, and you're like, I hate it, it's terrible, then yeah, you have a reason to be concerned. But if you enjoy current PoE, then you're probably fine. This is just Xbox 2.0. It's if you like the direction of PoE, great. If you didn't like it, fair enough, right? And this is a Konami meme, if Tencent really wanted, they could turn PoE into a pachinko machine. Konami memes. There's this whole social ranking thing, which is a little bit scary. People worried about their security. That's all a little bit kind of Monka-esque, but there's already some concerns with X-Solar and all of that stuff. So that's kind of already been on the table for a while, but it is concerning. And this is the main real talk. This is the main thing which I don't like about this deal. The community. I think the community will cause more damage to Path of Exile than Tencent ever could. When we first had the Xbox announcement thing, people freaked out, and PoE Reddit, PoE Twitch, it was just a horrible place to be. And I think that's the main thing that is worrisome about this, is just how badly Reddit and people in general freak out over this. And just gonna have people just stoking the fire. There are certain streamers and content creators just we must make them angry. If we make them angry, it's easy views. Fuck you guys for doing that, by the way. Yeah, let's not do that. So let's get into the pros. Okay, so more money, more dev resources. More developer resources, larger teams, more expensive leagues. We've seen a trend. Bestiary, very expensive league. Incursion looks like very expensive league. We've had the whole Act 5 to 10 thing. The more money, the more creative they can get. You could say this would mean they'll take more risks or less risks, but the more resources, the better in terms of just raw development, right? Again, this has been worked for a long time, so if you like current PoE, it's going to be fine. Again, this is probably just going to be Xbox 2.0. Just remember how upset everyone was by the Xbox thing. It all turned out to be fine, so people are probably just freaking out over nothing. There is the potential for cheaper MTX and more of it. I don't really think this will happen, but, you know, the Eastern market is very much about microtransactions. They'll be pushing micros as much as possible. You know, you could potentially see things like, look, let's just print more MTX than ever before. Maybe the prices might go down, but there probably will just be more MTX. So if you're like having cool looking characters and buying all stuff, then yeah, cool. Tencent has been pushing racing. We had the whole international racing thing with a bunch of streamers recently. That was all because Tencent wanted that. If you're interested in racing and the whole racing scene, Tencent being more involved in PoE is a very good thing. So I'm personally someone who really enjoys racing. I'm really excited and hope that we see a bigger push towards that. Similar thing with Battle Royale. Tencent is very heavily invested in stuff like Epic Games, etc. They have a lot of like money in Battle Royale games already. So you could say they'll either like, well, they already have a lot of money in it, so if they don't want more, they might see less. But, you know, if we were to ever see like a push towards PoE Battle Royale, which again, I enjoyed personally, you know, Tencent having more stakes seems more likely. Tencent also owns like everything. They have money in Discord. The whole like mobile app scene, third-party support is pretty big in gaming right now. So if you wanted to see, you know, improved social features or maybe like mobile trading, I'm not saying it will happen, but the more money, the more stuff you have, having, you know, companies who have links with other places, we might see more outside PoE apps, and more PoE apps, better social features is always a very good thing. Again, the bigger the game and you have a bigger push to push, if you have 80% share in a company, you want it to make as much money as possible, right? So you want to advertise the hell out of it. You want to spread it across the big, you know, Eastern market. More people playing PoE, the longer the life cycle of PoE. And for people like me who make content, it's good for us. So for the content creators, this is a pretty good thing. Same with Xbox, right? Xbox meant more people playing Path of Exile. More people playing Path of Exile, meaning more people in Twitch chat, more people looking for guides. This is a very good thing for streamers and YouTubers. Tencent owns everything, and I'll show you a list of everything they own, but they've basically, you know, just had Riot outright for a pretty long time. General consensus, I did a bunch of Googling trying to find, like, you know, what people think about it. People generally think LoL is fine, and that League of Legos didn't really get affected. So, yeah, there's a long history of them not really messing with games. So, yeah, they're probably not going to mess with this. And just to show you how much they own, because they literally own everyone, here's like a list of stuff they have money in. Now, I'm going to do this one by one, because it's quite a long list, but I'll just quickly scroll. And you might recognize a few things in there. There's lots of gaming companies in there, etc., etc., etc. Still scrolling, still scrolling, still scrolling, still scrolling. Show more. So a bit more scrolling. So yeah, it's kind of like, this isn't some random third-party thing you've never seen anything before. Now, if you're someone who's very much against the whole idea of monopolies, then this is a con, I can understand that. Again, Discord, by the way. Yeah, they are the biggest game producer out there as far as I'm aware. And there's a lot of stuff going on here. So this isn't like some completely random, unknown person with no history is bought into it. These guys have a long history. Chris isn't stupid. You know, this has probably been on the table for a long time. And if you've trusted Chris up until this point, you can probably still trust Chris. Unless he's really desperate to expand his Magic the Gathering collection. In which case, yeah, maybe he's sending us all down the line to buy more Black Lotus. But in all honesty, I'm really not that concerned. And I'm mostly just worried about the raw community reaction. If you think there are some, like, real, substantial, proper things that you've missed out on the pros and cons here, let me know. But I'm really not concerned. And yeah, GGG shill, by the way, I guess. I'm Tarke. Have a good day. Bye-bye.